Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the All Balls Sports Show, a discussion of any and all sports, local, regional, and national. And now, here are your hosts, Dan Janes, Eddie Bobo, Ty Cobb, and the coach, Vance Ballou.
Thank you, Bill Jones.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to
Enough of you, Bill. I don't need you to repeat yourself. I love you like a brother, but that ain't going to happen on my show. Anyway, welcome into the All the Ball Sports Show for the 20th day of March. Glad to have you along. Top of the show, something I want to do is congratulate Tom Williford of WMCP Radio. He was recognized by the County Commission on Monday for being very fair in his news reporting and all the contributions that he and his family have made with that radio station since they've been here in the mid-'50s. And I think it's a really good thing to give Tom some kudos. And Tom, you do a great job. Appreciate it. Worked for them in the mid-'70s and then turned around and worked for them for a couple of years from 1980 to 1982. And Tom's a fairly good golfer. I, on the other hand, are not. So, because we played several times together. But Tom is one of the last of the true newsmen in this area and gives complete and fair reporting on everything he does. So, hats off to you, Tom Williford. Continued good work. Thank you very much for what you do.
And I can say he covered me for 8 years on city council, and he was always fair.
Yeah. So tune in.
Straight
I think
up.
they got like 5 local newscasts today, something like 7 and 8, noon, 4 and 5, if I'm not mistaken. It's 1280 WMCP on your AM radio dial.
Could you do that in your radio voice?
No, that is my radio voice. That's the way my radio voice is. You know that.
He's not one of them fake radio
No.
people.
I just love it when he does that, too.
Oh, you mean doing the fake radio voice?
Yes.
On the big 1280 of love. Hey, Mack Reagan, director of the Parks and Recreation for the City of Columbia, is here. I'm going to ask you something, Mack. Do you guys start like the day after the Mid-State Classic preparing for next year's Mid-State Classic?
Well, to somewhat we will. We'll basically there'll be cleanup take place almost for a week and getting
Right.
the park ready because we have a major tournament coming in this weekend. So
That's right. You guys had like a lot of softball coming in.
yeah, we have basically from now until November we'll be full of events out there, that softball events that'll take place almost on every weekend. And of course we'll have soccer and other sports, lacrosse and things that'll kick up here in around August when the fields open up. So it's a never-ending sport. But yes, we do actually start. I started the planning. I listened to what Ralph had to say, in his interviews, and I started just basically looking at what ticket prices be, how many tickets could we see, how can we get an extra 500 to 1,000 people out there, things of that nature.
Can we get an extra 500 to 1,000?
we can go up over 3,000 pretty easy, up to about 3,500. 4,000 really squeaks us pretty tight, but yeah, 3,000, a little bit over, is our sweet spot, and we can really, really do some good things there.
Because we had an outstanding crowd this past year.
We did. Tickets sold right on up until after the game started. So we were really pleased with the crowd that showed up. We were a little worried when they didn't go as fast as they normally do, but.
You think everybody's waiting for the weather to break?
I think that had a lot to do with it.
I think it probably did, but I think that will come to a screeching halt if Ralph gets another high-level SEC team in here like he's talking. Yeah. I think tickets will sell out in a day or two again. And next time they're going to be all digital. They won't be any hand tickets sold. It'll be just like a ticket.
Wow.
You'll get a Ticketmaster. You'll come through, or whoever's running your tickets. You'll get it online. You won't have to come to the Rainy House. Come through, scan your ticket, and enter. So everything will be quicker. Will call will be cut down, so it'll cut a few of the things off for us, but it'll make us more efficient.
Okay, boys and girls, the word for today, or the letter in your alphabet for next year's Mid-State Classic is A. That's right. Keep that in mind. A, and it ain't Auburn. Just keep that in mind. That's rumors out there.
That's what Ralph was saying when he was talking to the press. He was dropping the A word a lot. So we'll see if it happens. I'm just interested to see if that team that begins with an A will come and play him. That'll be the thing, because Tennessee's building a really, really strong program. You look at them; they're just super athletic, and they got young girls constantly coming in. They're building a powerhouse.
Oh, they are.
So, but I would love to see.
Can you see a sea of orange and red out there?
Right next to each other.
Yeah.
It'll be like an SEC football game.
Yeah.
Which it already pretty much is. Especially when Coach Former comes walking up.
Yeah, but here's the thing. At the signing ceremony afterwards, you're going to have to separate them by something.
We will probably separate them by opposite fields. So
that's a good idea. One going out one way, one going out the other.
We'll probably do that.
Yeah, we can do that. If you've never been out to Ridley Sports Complex, folks, I'm telling you don't know what you're missing with the city of Columbia. They've done an excellent job in building that thing. And you guys have got some soccer, like you said, and we'll back up on what you said, lacrosse.
Yeah, lacrosse. We've been contacted by an Americas, not just Americas. They're expecting to bring teams in from South America and Mexico and the islands and Canadians. There'll be some Canadians come down for this lacrosse event.
Hey,
and they're.
I didn't know you spoke
They're
Canadian.
saying they're saying 150 to 200 teams that'll be in. It'll be like a really high level event. And I guess Columbia's right there in the middle. You take South America and Canada and put them all together in lacrosse and
stir them all up
and let them play. But they will not only
the whirlpool.
They will not only utilize their fields. They would play on the outfields of the the baseball fields too, probably. So it'll be a massive event. Rugby's already contacted us. Football. Ultimate frisbee, like you see in the collegiates, that sort of looks like football.
Is there enough room out there to do that?
There is. Yeah, our fields. We actually build our fields big enough to play any of those sports, international level.
No, I'm
soccer.
talking about the ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, they're that much.
Wow.
So
now is all that land in front of Ridley Sports Complex that is old farmland? Is that ours to use, or is that just an excess road?
That's the road. What's actually? I believe the land that's right next to us actually has a contract on it now. I'm not really for sure who, but that would have been nice to get to. But it's just so expensive. You got to have limitations somewhere. You know me, if they let me, I'd only spend all our budget on recreation. When your house catches on fire.
We don't need police or fire department. But by God, we got one of the best recreational areas in America.
No, everybody's too tired. That doesn't go over too well. You got to know your limitations. So,
right.
And we appreciate those guys because they do so much for us. But when you look
I do want to give kudos out to your folks. Because I walk my dog, Bismarck, over at Riverwalk, and I see those guys every morning, 7 o'clock. They're out there cleaning the restrooms and changing out the bags and the garbage cans, and I see the same guys doing the same job every single morning, always waving at them, always honking the horn or whatever. And then you got the guys and the ladies who go out to Ridley Park and working full-time out there and doing a yeoman's job for what they do for the city of Columbia.
Amount. I think we mow right at around 400 acres.
Yeah.
We got, 8 or 9 mowers, and they run wide open. We run them wide open. Basically, we'll do nothing but groundskeeping work about, 6 months out of the year. And, you have everything else has to be done in overtime. So. Mm-hmm. Trash pickups quadrupled along with the population.
Right.
It's nothing for them to take a truckload of trash out on a Monday or a Wednesday after, events in Woodland Park. It's just always full, or Fairview or Riverwalk. They're just always this max filled. So it really, and they do an excellent job. They really do. I'm sure they're, really happy with the director came in with this motto, we'll rest when we die, and we start doing as much things.
You didn't come in with that motto.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I told him.
Oh man,
you could.
There's some motivation for you.
Yeah, but it is in a recreation mindset. Well, see, everybody I'm sure has the same mindset I do as far as recreation. That is your rest. The Mid-State Classic. I don't want to say it too much. And I even told some people on the council this. That's not like work when you really get into it.
No,
for
it's
us,
not.
that's like. It's like what we do. It's like what we like to do. So when you can do something like that and get paid for it, and that can be your career, everybody should go into recreation.
Let me explain how the Mid-State Classic works for Eddie and I. There's like 20 minutes of absolute panic before each game because he's getting the rosters together. He's writing them down so that I can read them. And that's the only two 20-minute problems that we have in that entire day. And we're there, almost 12 hours. But the rest of it is absolute fun to watch these teams get out there and battle. And our Columbia State team, people don't realize how good those girls are.
Really good performance.
And Volunteer State came in here and whooped some booty. And, I mean,
it was a really close
Well, it was a close game.
because we're sitting there going, man, we got the same setup we had last year.
I thought we were
going
going to see
13
another
innings.
13
Did you see that hit the catcher took from Columbia State?
Yeah.
And just stood up.
Yeah.
I was like,
Boy, she stared that girl down.
that's straight up hardcore. Took a brutal shot and just
She
stood
did.
up. I was like, well, I could sign her up for judo right now.
But she didn't look at her. She looked at the ref.
Yeah.
She looked at the guy at home plate, and I'm thinking, oh, my God.
Well, she thinks that the girl left the baseline to hit her.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
she thought.
Yeah. But,
And just think, though, if that would have been called that way, there'd been no run. It'd been an automatic out.
that's right.
And they would have what? They would have been up by one or
Yeah.
down by one.
Down by one, it was going to end up in that going to extra innings thing.
Yeah.
Which that's what we had last year, which caused it to go until almost 5:30.
Well, last year, everything always happened after 2 outs.
Yeah.
Last year. And I thought, please don't let that happen again.
But there was some really good play there, some really good
Yeah.
hits. I mean, some just cranks.
Hey, and I do have to give kudos also to Connie Massey. Connie took care of us in the press box.
She did some awesome things too.
I know.
She made gift baskets, little bags for the teams that came in.
Yeah.
Well, now wait, whoa. We saw none of those gift bags.
Well, I didn't either. Those went to the players.
Oh, come on now. Connie.
Those went to the players. I didn't get one either.
We were gifted with her presence.
Yes. And the food that she brought to us.
Right.
And thanks to Alex setting up all the stuff in the refrigerator out there for you guys treat us like kings. We appreciate that.
Well, I was hoping to enjoy that food too, but I was I was on the ground most of the time.
Yeah, but you found a place of respite. You found a place where you could go
and just
where
chill.
nobody would bother you, and they couldn't find you.
Oh, they could find me.
Oh yeah, I know you was on the end of the radio, but still, you found a place where you could go, and everything would be fine. And
Out of sight and out of mind
and
for a
you
little
could,
while.
You could breathe until you were ready not to breathe anymore.
Until I spotted something and said, "Ooh, this is
Yep.
coming."
Yep, here it comes. Here it
But
comes.
yeah, it went real well.
did.
Couldn't ask for anything better. It's going to be better next year. We will make it better. That's just going to be our mindset. It will be better. But I'd really love to see
That's going to be a big sign over the front of the entrance of Ridley Park. We're going to make it better.
Yeah, or maybe when they leave, always it'll be better next time. Start out as high as you can get, and then have to struggle to find ways to improve.
Get better. Right.
That's what you want. Like in athletics or whatever you're doing, business or recreation or programming, you do it absolute best job you can, and then make it better.
Right.
Because you can always do something better.
Oh yeah,
always.
Yeah, I mean, I can improve what I'm doing. It's not, and I practice at doing that stuff, so that we sound professional and doing what we're trying to do. Until I get around to Philip Fulmer, and I kind of wanted to jab at him a little bit, but I thought, nah, I don't need to be doing that to him. Because then I won't be asked to go back next year.
Hey, Phil, Johnny Major just called.
Yeah, no. We don't know. That's a point of contention right there. We don't want to do that. Hey, the Bears ate the Owls last night. Belmont Bruins.
Bears, yeah.
Does it count as a win? I know Maurice. I see him on Twitter saying it's a win.
Yeah,
Does
81-7.
I don't watch basketball.
Well, see,
no offense, but if it's not a grappling fight in the football, I have no interest in it. So does it count as a win?
Grappling goes on in basketball.
Well,
believe me.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have to have. My point is, you shouldn't have to have a play-in game for Belmont, who had a record of 25-3,
correct,
in order to get in the bracket. That shouldn't happen. You're playing.
And their only lost in the tournament was to probably a team that had the number 3 pick in the NBA draft. So I could see.
But hats off to Belmont, and they play again tomorrow night. At least there's a day of rest in between. You don't have to play them night after night.
Well, from here on out, it basically is. They play it every other day, won't it, until the tournament's over?
Yeah, they do. UT plays tomorrow night.
Friday.
They play Friday? Like I said, UT plays on Friday.
They got a good draw,
I
it
think
looks
it's
like.
145.
Is it a 145 game?
I think it's 145 tip.
I'm sure that'll do a lot for a lot of businesses. I'm sure no computers will be logged into it.
No.
Yeah.
No, the IT department will be going. And bless his heart, he needed a break. Bob Kesseling was losing his voice during the SEC tournament. I was listening to him, and I thought, well, here we go with the old famous
blue towel.
Thank you, or whatever. But Bob, best of luck to you, buddy, and hope you get that voice back.
Well, this is his 20th year.
Yeah.
Hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah. Yeah. He took over 99.
Man.
Yeah. And I think my son went to the broadcasting camp either in 2000 and 2001. I know it was 2 years that Bob had a broadcasting camp. And he met some interesting folks up there. One kid by the name of Sasha that was basically, I won't say he was savant, but everybody picked on Sasha, but my son took him under his wing. And he found out that Sasha knew every statistic for the University of Tennessee for basketball, football, baseball, and all the sports that Ross needed for his for the whole thing they were doing broadcasting camp. He just took him under his wing and worked with him all week. And I thought that was one of the neatest things. Ross is really good with young kids. And but he said to Sasha, he said, "Oh, that player right there hit such and such and such and such and such." So he's like, "Wow."
Keep ripping it.
Yeah, exactly.
Find out what you're good at and do it.
That's it.
As long as you enjoy it.
Exactly. So wherever Sasha is,
you just got to shout out.
Exactly. So enjoy your life, son. So anyway,
yes,
we got other things to talk about.
All right.
What have we got, Dan?
Fire away.
Predators win last night. They got like 8 home games left, maybe 7, but they won 3-0 last night over whoever they were playing.
Toronto.
Yeah, that's what I said.
A couple good wins.
Yeah,
a couple good wins there.
They've had 3 in a row now, so maybe.
But they're like this.
Well, at some point you may catch fire, though.
Yeah,
that's what they got to hope
you
for.
want to catch fire.
Those defensemen to shut people down and Pekka to do his thing and
they said Pekka was awesome last night on 35 shots on goal.
Yeah,
that he was back to hitting that. He too's been going through those slumps and those.
It looked like his Tennessee Lotto commercial.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see.
Oh, Lord.
This past Saturday, we saw history made at Lindsey Nelson Stadium.
I've heard about this.
The Lady Lions rugby team scored 101 points against McMinn County, 19 points. Eddie was saying, well, what are we going to do? We don't have 3 numbers up there. I said, well, that's, he said, well, I'm going to put 99 in here and then press +2. Well, he pressed 99 in there when they scored their last try. And then they got the conversion kick. And so he just hit press 2 and 1 came up. So it was 101. So most points that have, I believe, ever been scored by any team in Lindsey Nelson Stadium.
Yeah,
since,
they scored 70 last year.
Yeah.
In a game.
Now, here's the one thing that I did learn about that from the official. It is bad taste for me to mention anything over the number 30 if it's not a close game and you're beating the other team into the ground. So when it gets to be 30, I quit giving the score. Simply because I don't want to feel the wrath of the official to come up in the press box.
Maybe the other team should play better.
That was my
Well, that was
basically my
that was,
argument.
But you know that's a tough situation. Everybody who
is.
plays we've seen that team develop really, really quickly, and they are really, really good. The way things are going, they're going to be the most dominant sports program in this county, which they probably already are.
They are, but they're an unsanctioned sports program,
right.
simply because they're not TSSAA. But
And-
still, they're Middle Tennessee Rugby Conference, I believe.
Correct.
And their head coach is leaving at the end of this season.
Well, we'll see how that affects them.
You know,
that can.
and that'll remain to be seen how that'll affect the team.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you'll find that once you develop a program to such a level, and you have so much talent coming in every year, it'll take 4 or 5 years for them to have a drop off. You know, and maybe they'll hire somebody that'll just push it on up. So we need to get them out at Ridley playing the game, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And the thing about the Columbia girls team Saturday, they were missing one of their normal starting players who plays the position of hooker.
Mm-hmm.
That whenever they do the ruck, that's the player who passes it out of the ruck.
Yeah.
And the girl they put in her place, she
Stepped
made
in.
all the
Didn't
correct
miss a
passes
lick.
and all that.
That's the sign of good coaching, good preparations. It shows the girls working hard.
Beth McDougal got hurt against Riverdale the previous week. Got her MCL bruised up. So she was the one who's number 2.
Close. Who's probably the most dominant of the program close to us?
Right now, Mack,
I
don't
probably-
know of one.
The closest one that still has a semi-decent team would be Ravenwood.
Yeah.
And Spring Hill's team's not a slouch. I mean, they
They're
can
coming
play.
along.
It's
They're
just
coming
because
along.
they're facing, that beast that comes in here from Columbia Central. Probably.
Well,
If they weren't here,
and
Spring
the
Hill
thing
would probably
is,
look like a good program.
You have to have 15 on the team to field the team. McMinn County beat
Had six-
Central last year,
year before last.
year before last, upset them big time. So they came in here with like 19 players. So they didn't have a lot to go to, bench wise. Dun, dun, dun. That still sounds like the Superman theme.
It does similar. What I'm thinking is maybe we should get them to start working on it next year or so. Even if they could line somebody up, if Kentucky or Alabama has a real good program,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be nice to bring in have a real good matchup like that.
That'd be fun
That would be fun. I'm sure the girls would love that too.
because Columbia Central went to the Nationals and they came in third in the nation.
Yeah.
So you can't fault that.
They do it in football. They do it in basketball.
Sure.
They'll have matchups. Maybe that's something they would want to do in the future. I know that they like to do their tournaments and stuff. Maybe that's something we can work out with them.
Okay.
We'll have to get in contact with them.
I know the number.
I'm sure they'll be contacting me soon anyway. They've already made contact. They will be hosting a tournament out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good deal.
It's going as long as they still want to, because they came in and already talked about it. So it's pretty simple to make happen.
Is he going to be on the new fields?
Oh yeah, I hope.
With the new digital lights that change color, from what I understand.
They're really unique. We can put on light shows before the game. Did you see how little light pollution those lights have? Like
Yeah.
if you get
Oh, yeah.
15 feet off the field, it's like dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't,
Well, see, Columbia, Lindsey Nelson Stadium has the same thing, and that's what's caused a problem out there. Is it does not illuminate
the parking
the
lots.
stands or the parking lot like the old
Well,
incandescents used
Ours,
to.
if you look at our lights, they're actually backed up just to where they'll include those areas.
Right.
And luckily we've got parking lots, but it really helps a lot. When you have a ball field in a subdivision like a lot of our schools are, those lights are just really essential because nobody wants their house lit up,
Well,
when
yeah.
the game's going on. But when you look at it like that, and it's right next to you, you're still dark. It's not a problem.
But you didn't think about the photographers. Just saying.
photographers, they get down next to the field, don't they?
They do, but
Wait till you see this new press box. I just walked in today.
What did you go today? And you didn't call and invite me to come out?
It was a surprise trip. I went over to do some assessment on the sidewalks. I did some measuring to make sure to meet ADA requirements, and the press box was, pretty much finished. We went up inside. It's about 4 times as big as the one over to Mid-State.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really nice. Really good viewing area. It's perfect.
The only thing
is it all open from one side to the other, or is there a dividing wall, or
it's all open.
I noticed they had 2 sets of stairs going up to it.
It just goes in each end. It's
Okay.
all open. So we'll have to restrict someone from being crazy in there, that they don't bleed over into the broadcast.
that's true. Yeah.
We'll have to set up rules.
Hey, all you got to do is make me press box coordinator. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. Columbia men's soccer. Of course, Sidlowski was here. 2-3 weeks ago?
About 2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago. Columbia men's soccer won 4-0 last night. Greg said that Coach Sidlowski said that Preston Price had 3 goals, and they won 4-0. Colton Bryan, of course, is the assistant coach.
And they played Coffee County, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So it's still a hat trick.
3. Yeah.
I don't know if they throw their hat on the field, but I'm sure it's the same. You know what's hilarious about that is people think they get their hats back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you ever go to the Preds game, somebody gets hat trick, they'll be asking like the ushers and everything, where do they go to get their hat? It's hilarious. Like they're going to go through all the hats and get yours.
So what's a trick? You don't get one. How about that?
At West
You were
Point,
stupid enough to throw it out on ice.
when they throw
right.
the hats up, tradition is you put $5 or $10 in there because they turn kids loose out of the stands to pick up the hats.
That's cool.
That's pretty neat.
That is
Not
neat.
on ice, dude. There ain't nothing safe about that whatsoever. Just saying.
No. I'm talking about it on graduation, not on ice.
Oh,
When they throw, you see them.
well, I thought you were
throw the
talking
hats.
soccer.
No.
I'm sorry.
You see 'em
I
throw
may
the
be
hat.
going to graduation.
Yeah. I'm coming out of their press box for graduation this year.
But they'll
I'm sorry. I
stick
thought
some
you were
money
talking
in.
about
That's
hockey.
pretty
on the
neat.
hat trick.
That is cool. That is cool.
P.J. Washington, of course, you don't talk basketball. P.J. Washington for Kentucky is in a boot, but they say he will play when Kentucky plays.
Did they call it precautionary?
Yeah.
That just means he's had some swelling, and they're trying to keep the swelling down. He'll probably wear the boot the rest of the tournament. They'll do follow-up, and doctors, it happens more than you ever believe. Like they'll have football players walk around in boot. Steve McNair was world famous for that.
Yeah.
It prevents swelling. And he's at Kentucky, so I'm saying that they're going, Cal's going to do everything he can to get him out there.
And then put the boot back on after the game.
Quick as it's over.
There you go.
Yeah.
Release pressure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I didn't know that.
It's common.
Hey, let's talk about our favorite football player,
Go ahead.
Bruno Reagan. Just give us an update on what he's doing.
Hey, can I give one thing, just a comment real before we're going with Bruno. This is this is important. It's always a good thing when you raise your kids to have more common sense than you do.
Okay.
I called Bruno today and told him, I was like, hey, let's go to the UFC. It's Saturday. It's in Bridgestone.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, the ticket's going to be $400. I was like, I'm thinking, let's just buy it and go, He was like, nah, we'll do that if I ever, when I make it, we'll go to a real one. That's too much money to be spending. I was like, I'm glad somebody's got common sense here. But obviously he's doing well, training hard, had his pro day. He's had visits with probably 10, 12 teams. Got one coming up with the Titans. Looks good for him. This is a really, really deep draft, so we don't know where he'll go. Mm-hmm. And I've always said if you're going to go late, it's better sometimes not to go. That way you get to pick and choose, and you get free agency a year quicker. But it looks good for him. He's, really big, really quick, so things are going well.
Good group picture of all of them out in Kansas City.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Well, he had a meeting with the Chiefs out there. He actually came off the plane, and they called him as soon as he landed. And he had a official
Did he say, who is this from? The Kansas City Chefs?
I say he probably knew the area code, knowing Bruno.
Yeah.
Because they had interviewed him at the Gridiron Classic, an All-Star game.
Yeah.
So I'm saying he probably answered that thing pretty quick. Plus, they play a really fast-paced offense, and, they're a good team. So, I'm sure he doesn't care where he goes. And I really don't either.
Well, because he's going to have to adapt to whatever they're doing anyway.
Exactly. And that'll affect where he plays and how heavy he plays and everything. Somebody may want him to play at 350. He weighed in at 322 his pro day. He was taller than they expected. He's 6'3.5", and this is how fickle the NFL is. The fact that his arms were over 32 inches meant a lot. It affected some teams were actually be interested in him, and that goes to being able to pass off blocks. When you're double teaming and pass protection, you got a longer arm. It's just better and harder defensive lineman gives. But it's just wild the way the NFL breaks it down.
But every year we keep hearing that there are these expectations of long arms and speed and all this other kind. Then you get that player like a Shaq Mason that is smaller than expected, quicker than expected because of his size, and then you all of a sudden got the exception to the rule.
Yep. Well, a lot of and those guys have to be picked by the right team.
Right.
You look at New England, their offense, they got a quarterback who's getting rid of the ball quickly. Shaq's a really good run blocker. They like to run the ball. So a lot of those things play in to his benefit. And, and any player that gets into a second contract, which he just did, he's got guaranteed, $20 million?
Mm-hmm.
So he's done very, very well, and really happy for him.
Big celebration this last Saturday, 4 o'clock down the square. Shaq Mason block party. Check it out on Facebook. My son took the pictures for it, so just saying. Available for your viewing. And who knows, you might have been one of the men there.
And in finishing up on Bruno, he'll most likely have to play center, left guard, and right guard when he goes in, which gives him a lot of abilities because he can play any of the positions. Of course, you start out, you're thinking, wouldn't it be great if, he's in Nashville and I never have to drive to games. It'd be just like going to Vanderbilt. But to be honest, I don't care where he plays at. It's all showed on TV and I can watch it.
Yeah.
If it's too cold, I'll stay at home, rest my old bones, and scream at the TV and not get in trouble.
And the good thing about that, you can go to the bathroom when you want to. You
Exactly.
can go to the refrigerator when you want to. And
Yeah.
Not have to pay any extra.
And I'm just like you guys. What you want for your kids is them to be happy and achieve their dreams.
That's right.
That's all you want.
Exactly.
If he came to me and said, I don't want to play football, it wouldn't be a big deal to me, to be honest.
What about your daughter? How's she doing?
Doing really good. Looking at college, she's got about 12 offers. Don't know what she's going to do yet. It's just hard to find that 6'1" middle blocker. So
Wow.
she's really doing well. She's tuck after mommy and does really good academically. So she could actually go to school and not have to play ball if she wanted to. So things are going real well. Couldn't be more pleased with both of them, And Eduardo's always Eduardo. He runs the show wherever he's at.
He is the show.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned you want your child to follow their dreams and everything. These two guys know who I'm talking about when I say Gumby. His son, when he was in elementary school, the teachers always ask the kids what they want to be when they grow up, or what kind of job they want. His son always said he wanted to drive the trash truck.
Oh,
And
well, that's a cool
and
job.
Now he's a lineman for Duck River Electric. So
Well, he makes a little more than a trash guy.
Yeah.
quite a bit more than a trash truck driver.
If he's
But the guys that do the recycling and a lot of the trash collection now, it's high tech.
yes, it's not. They're not getting out ripping up the trash can, throwing it.
No.
out. Sometimes you have to do that when things get bad, but it's a different job, and it's an admirable job.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
let your trash back up in your community and see how many calls you get to City Hall.
Yeah.
It's something that's very important. It'd be no different than doing away with your fire department, your recreation department, your police department. If you don't have waste management, you get some issues real quick.
Very quick. Just think about New York when that happened. They backed all that
Oh
up.
man, it worked too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, last week, both the trash truck driver and the recycle truck driver both hit the pole in front of my house.
Oops.
On the same day.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the director of that department.
But I don't think either one of them reported that they hit the pole.
Hey, while we're giving shout-outs, give a shout-out to Ken Donaldson, who just recently retired.
My man. Always made me feel welcome.
Yeah.
No better of a guy. When you go out there and look at Ridley Park, he saved about $1 million taxpayer money by work that they did out there. Good man. Really did some good things.
Top notch.
Yep. Knew his business. And I told him all the time, I was like, hey, when you retire, you could consult. He really could. He could do really well as a consultant. Don't know if he will or not.
See, he's already convinced me that's what I need. I need to be a consultant.
Consultants make good money.
I know. I got fired by one. Thank you.
I hear you.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I've actually fired some people as a consultant. So
yeah.
I hope it wasn't you.
No. Believe me, there's a story.
I wouldn't be here today.
No, there's a story behind all of it, but there's a couple of people that are not here today, but that's
Dan,
not because of that.
You suffer from the same problem I do. You're too opinionated.
I wasn't that day, but what I did caused me to. Well, never mind.
Another story, another podcast, right?
Exactly, that's all right.
My whole deal with consultants, I had 3 of them one time, and we ended up, I was needing to get to the football stadium for a football game, and they were dragging their feet writing a report, so I wrote their report.
Oh.
I said, this is what it needs to be. This is what we
discussed
for a week.
That's right. Get rid of your consultants.
Write it.
Yeah, you're paying somebody that don't need to be on the payroll now.
I told my boss you could have saved that money.
Knowing the political climate at Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Which you do.
Well, I know nobody knows
things.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have been around.
I've been around it.
Okay. What are they going to do with Bryce Drew?
I believe they'll keep Bryce Drew.
Really?
Yes. I believe they'll keep the women's basketball coach.
What about Holly?
So that was my next question. What about Holly Warlick? Do you think they'll let her go through this contract? I mean, she's got one more year. They signed an extension.
She has one more year?
I think she had one more year on the contract.
Well, here's the difference. Vanderbilt, they're concerned about education and things like that,
right,
and representing their university well, and stuff like that. If they compete, they're okay. They're not like that in Knoxville about women's basketball.
Oh, they're rabid in Knoxville about basketball.
Now, when Pat Summit was up there, they were, because she made sure
That's what I mean. They're not going to deal with that. So the athletic department may be put under a lot different pressure. You got a new athletic director in Vanderbilt. He can easily look at his board. The people are going to fire him. He can look at them and say, hey, give me 1 year to get them back on track. I can provide some things for them that'll show that they're going to get back on track. If they don't, I'll take care of this problem.
I know that Vanderbilt had a player that was a freshman that got hurt, that they had basically put all of their eggs in his basket.
Yeah,
and then he got hurt, and then he was out for the season.
They had 2 5-star players, and one of them was a 6'10" big man. And when he was playing with Garland from Brentwood Academy, Garland got him the ball in the right positions, and they both looked really good, and they looked like they were going to be a 20-plus win team. Garland got injured, projected to be a top 5 NBA draft pick anyway this year, and they basically didn't win another game, I don't believe.
Nope.
So it will be hard. I know the alumni are calling for heads to roll, but knowing Vanderbilt, I'm saying they'll probably get another year.
But who would they get? I mean,
now here's the thing, though. Vanderbilt pays.
Oh yeah.
Vanderbilt will pay their coach. And with the things coming, if they do make a move, then they'll have somebody in waiting, and it'll be a big name. They'll go after somebody, but who knows?
But that's always the question you should ask.
I wasn't brave enough to ask Coach Fulmer about that when he was here, because that's a tough job for him. Because Holly's been a big supporter of his. And we know Philip.
Well, they've known each other up there for 30 years.
Correct.
Well, this is very similar to 2008. what he went through.
It is.
And he was asking for one more year. But the big thing with her, she has talked about how tough it was to coach these kids.
And it is tougher now.
And she's just not dealing with them very well. And there's a lot of rumors saying that she may go on and resign.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But there's a lot of blowback on what she says on that, because you never heard Pat Summitt say that. You never heard her talk about how tough it was to coach these kids, because that was her job to coach.
And she did it.
Pat never coached this level kid. If you look, she never coached the kids like they are now. That's the thing. I've had people in a very successful man who worked with me in the state told me, if I was the coach there, I'd say, this is where it's going to be. I'm done with it. I was like, no, you wouldn't.
Because the culture's changed.
Because 75 kids in your football room would stand up and say, no, that's not the way it's going to be. You will not treat us like that. It's not going to happen. And they will take care of you. It's not the same thing. You cannot challenge. You cannot threaten. You cannot intimidate.
Varsity Blues all over again.
Basically, except these are really, really big guys.
Yeah.
And they have the power of litigation. You know, they will sue you. They might,
That's what it's come to?
Oh, yeah. I know of a football program where a coach grabbed a player by the face mask and pulled his face forward. The player picked the coach up and began to pummel him. Everything was kept quiet. At the end of the year, the coach was fired, and the player finished out 2 years ago. He was a senior.
Wow.
If you lay your hands on, and I tell this to all my people ever train fighting, the moment you lay your hands on anybody, you better be able to deal with that. Mm-hmm. No matter, especially if it's somebody 6'6", 320 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. You cannot just tell. It's like, they said, well, so-and-so coach will not let their players kneel for the national anthem. You can't stop them if you're a state university. If you do, you'd be hit with so many legal violations. Coaches have it rough. You got to baby these kids to get them to sign with you. And we've already seen you have to do a lot of illegal things in a lot of sports to get them signed with you. And then you get them, you have to almost baby them for the next 4 years. You're not demanding this is the way something's going to do. You're asking them, hey, please do this. We do this way. You still have some At Vanderbilt's a different program. You're getting $500,000 education. But everywhere else, you look, if a kid's playing at Tennessee and he doesn't like it, he graduates in 3 years. He said, I'm out here. See you later. He can go to, Florida, Georgia, other programs and play at the same thing. So there's no that loyalty growing up in young kids that say, this is the program I'm going to. I went to see University of Tennessee, and when I was 5 years old, I was running through the tee. That's all I want to do. The really good kid that you want, don't think like that. The really good kid you want says, I can play at any university I want to. I'm the best player at my position in the nation. I will be a first-round draft pick in 3 years, and that's as long as I'm going to be here. And that's the attitude you want. If you got a kid coming in and going to Vanderbilt and they're going, man, I love this. It's a great school. I got a great education. I'm going to end up here and I'm going to be a doctor. Well, that kid's not going to do a lot for you football-wise. He's worried about his academic. You want that kid this is the only way I've got out. My family's broke. I grew up poor, which is like me when I went to college. I only went to college to play football. I was like, this is the way I'm going to get out of here, this small town in the middle of nowhere. And before I knew it, I graduated. I was like, man, this is so easy. I'm going to get a master's. I respected my education. So it's sorry to ramble along, but that's the way.
No, it's okay.
That's
I'm getting a new insight.
What do you think about the bill they're talking about in Nashville paying athletes?
All athletes should be paid. All athletes should. But aren't all athletes being paid by the fact that their tuition is being taken care of?
No. Because every kid in the state can get it. If you're poor, you can get a Pell Grant, you can get lottery money, you can go to your hometown university that's in driving distance and almost pay nothing. $3,000 a year. And if you can't afford that, then most likely you can get the Pell Grant, which you'll actually walk away with money. We've got kids who are spending daylight to dark representing their university and are just getting fleeced. Every athlete should be paid. And it should go by a percentage of what the university brings in. There's no way you can tell me there's a professor at Vanderbilt should make more than Kyle Shermer did last year as quarterback. Record-setter quarterback. Best in the history of the university. He should be making more than every university professor that teaches there. Am I wrong?
I disagree.
Why?
Why? He's an athlete, right?
He's
Granted,
more.
He did some stuff, but what is he going to do with it?
Oh, he'll play in the NFL. He's got his degree in 3. He got a Vanderbilt degree in 3.5
All right,
years.
he wouldn't have got that degree if there wasn't professors there to teach him.
But he could have went anywhere and got that. He's the most productive person at what he's done in the history of that university.
Now you're putting too much emphasis on the athlete and not the academics.
They're totally separate.
No, they're not.
Here's the way I see it, and this is no lie. Bruno went to Vanderbilt. His athletic responsibility was Vanderbilt's. Your coaching staff, I sent him there for you to make him a better football player. His academic responsibility was mommy and daddy's and his. University had nothing to do with that. His job.
Now I do agree with that.
Yeah, his job was to go to class.
Because
his
my
job
parents had, in that respect, I do agree with you.
Yeah. I think they should be. Here's what I think. Should they make as much as professors? No. I just want to see if I can get a rile out of you.
You got it, all
right. Here's what I think football players especially, and probably men's and women's basketball and volleyball, the 4 that get payment, if the 4 that get the stipend, they should be treated as part-time employees. Now, I don't even think they should have to go to school at the time. If they only want to go there and play, and then that counts that they can come back and go to school afterwards, then that's fine. The school always has that option for it, but I think they should be part-time employees.
And I don't.
Well, here's how I feel about the whole thing in a nutshell.
No, this is a nutshell.
All right. Well, I'm going to put my Beto O'Rourke hands in work here in a minute. The kid is given a scholarship to play at that university, but he also has academic responsibilities. If he leaves before fulfilling his scholarship and turns pro and makes it in pro, I think he ought to have to pay back everything he got for free from the college.
Here's the thing, though. We're treating a kid, we're putting restrictions on kids more than we are adults. Coaches can come and leave, ignore their contract. Doesn't mean anything.
Players can now.
And get
players
paid for
can
what
now.
they did not fulfill.
Exactly. So we're trying to hold the kids to higher standards than we are our adults. Are the issues? Oh man, there are so many issues. Mm-hmm. And I once heard Bruno say, "I know nobody at Vanderbilt's getting paid because if they are, I'm not, and I'm upset." But most schools, let's be honest, there's money that flies around.
Well, I'm going to say there was money under the table even at Vanderbilt.
No,
don't give me that. You got some boosters that have deep pockets.
Yeah,
and
but
they're going to pay somebody somewhere.
But they're not going to pay it in athletics. Athletics is not. They're not going to pay it in athletics. They'll pay it in other things. They'll pay it to their if they got a broadcasting degree, they'll pay it to the broadcasting bar. They don't. Vanderbilt.
They can't even.
I think you got a blind eye there.
No, look
Mack,
at the recent things where it showed all these schools where people illegally got into. You had Notre Dame, Stanford, all these schools mentioned.
Well,
the one that you couldn't buy your way into, Vanderbilt. Alumnus can't get their kids in school. There's no guarantee. Only like 7% of the students who apply get it. Vanderbilt, you can't count Vanderbilt as other schools because it's that weird little thing off to itself.
Well,
now, what takes place?
They won't even let Vanderbilt athletics approach their donors to the school.
Well, that'll be changing soon. That'll change soon because they're going to do a lot of stuff. Yeah, Vanderbilt is just you should take Vanderbilt and not discuss it in any NCAA problem because it's totally unique. It's just different. Now, your other SEC schools, guys, their fans are on a different level. And it's not schools that are cheating a lot of times. It's Joe Blow who, grew up loving that program. He would be the guy that want to run through the tee. I would go there and play 4 years and never get on the field.
You mean Jim Bob from Maryville?
Yeah, something like that. That's the person you got to worry about, because all of a sudden he has a plumbing business. His plumbing business explodes, and he's got a lot of money. So he
saying the word explodes in a plumbing business is not
okay. All right. Well, he's a contractor. He's a construction guy.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Well, whatever it is, that's the person you have to worry about. That's the reason you'll see a lot of coaches, they just cannot control the enormous mountain of love and vindictiveness and all these things that we talk about that goes under all these programs. That you just cannot control it.
But yet the NCAA holds the head coach accountable.
Yeah. But when you look at the amount of money that is being made through television contracts, radio contracts with IMG, whatever, and the money that's being made from the University of Tennessee, University of Kentucky, whatever, the amount of money that's being made back to the school on the backs of these athletes,
they should be paid.
They should be paid. At least a stipend of some kind, or like you said, part-time money. Well, not to the point of a professor.
Well, what I would like to see is I'd like to see these kids get insurance so many years after they're athletes, especially football players. If you got a football player that's, and this happens a lot at schools, people don't realize it's their kid that goes there 2 or 3 years and they get injured to the point where they can't play anymore.
Well, the TSU player.
Correct. Something
was
like
playing
that.
Against Vanderbilt, they got hurt.
He shouldn't have to, or they shouldn't have to sue to get, adequate health care after they leave the university. But I think it should be totally separate. I don't think Jeremy Pruitt, Derek Mason, Nick Saban, I think they have absolutely no responsibility in getting that kid an education. That's that kid's responsibility. That's his mom's responsibility. Those are men out there. They can go fight in combat, and they can do all. They need to,
Well, and most of them got kids. A lot of them do.
That's their responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not Nick Saban's. If Derek graduates, everybody, that's great. He can use that to advertise his program. He can
say our graduation rate is
100% for the last 5 years, whatever.
And if you participate in NCAA sports, you can't have a part-time job.
Exactly. But their full-time job, is athletics. Because I can remember plenty of times where the school wouldn't have something scheduled that Bruno would be working out on his own. He'd be training on his own.
But the reason NCAA says that is because the guy might be working part-time nights at the Smoke and Brew, which the Smoke and Brew gives X number of dollars to the University of Tennessee program.
If you remember years ago, they would get a stipend if you were on scholarship.
That's kind of a neat idea, though.
Water the football field.
Coach, that was my job.
Which the sprinklers, it was on a sprinkler.
No lie, that was my job.
On automatic.
Yeah.
And you got laundry money.
Well, no, it wasn't automatic, but I had to take a little thing and turn it. and then 4 hours later, I went back and turned it off. That's no lie, that was my job at Austin Peay.
The problem would be solved if it was like, if all the universities were like the service academy, everybody gets the same thing when you go in. But you couldn't afford it. No. They get a lot, but
Well, I don't think a lot of people can deal with the service academy. I don't think they can deal with that. That's a whole different world. That's an Ivy League education and 2 or 3 jobs, taking place.
But my only concern, I'm all for paying the athlete. Don't get me wrong, but my only concern would be how are they going to divvy? Goes back to the athletes. Who's going to make the decision on does the quarterback get more or does the running back get more? I think it ought to be straight across the board. If you're on that team, you ought to all get an equal share.
Yeah, that would be fine, too. I think that would be the easiest way to do it.
Well, the other part you got to consider is Title IX.
Yep.
And that throws a kink in.
Well, Title IX pretty much is taken care of because you have the 2 women's sports and 2 men's sports that are covered, that are full scholarships. Your full scholarships are Power 5 or football, both basketballs and volleyball. That's your power. That's your two.
Hey guys, do you know why Le'Veon Bell left Pittsburgh?
I have no idea.
Because of Big Ben.
Well, he's blamed everybody.
He said, now, here, I got a story. Hang on. It's on the printer.
I'm interested in hearing this.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. It took more than 3 years, all told, but Le'Veon Bell is finally free and finally paid, having gotten a large contract from the Jets in free agency. Bell's saga with the Steelers came to an end rather unceremoniously, with Pittsburgh ultimately announcing it wouldn't use any kind of tag on Bell after multiple years of battling about his status. Bell doesn't pull any punches. He's pretty open about the situation with quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, which he calls a factor in his decision to leave. Seems that Big Ben was recently accused of purposely fumbling a snap just despite offensive coordinator Todd Haley, and has been criticized openly by Antonio Brown. Add Bell to the dog pile. Yes, it was a factor, Bell said of his relationship with Roethlisberger, which he wishes was more open, more genuine, and more real. The organization wants to win. Coach Mike Tomlin wants to win. Ben wants to win, but Ben wants to win his way, and that's tough to play with, according to Bell.
How much did he make?
Oh, I don't know. Doesn't say.
I heard that he lost money. That he didn't
signing with the Jets.
Yeah, he actually got less money than he expected, which is bad. You know, the one thing that really freaks me out about this, I'm an old offensive lineman, and I've never heard offensive linemen talk bad about one of their position, their running back or their quarterback publicly, and his offensive lineman went after him. That really was a concern. You just don't hear that. That's sort of like family business.
And before we finish, Eddie and I were watching something interesting on YouTube a few minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
There are some silly and unnecessarily violent competitions out there, but the Russian slapping championships have to be among the most silly and unnecessarily violent. They are exactly what they sound. Two guys stare at each other as one winds up and slaps the spit of the person across from him. I said spit. And yet, as ridiculously pointless as it sounds, they gave an example on YouTube.
Have you watched it? You can't watch it without laughing.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hilarious.
We
to see the look on the guy's face that gets dinged twice, and then they have to pick him up off the floor.
So they slap him again?
Yeah, they slapped him a second. I mean, they asked him, so I guess in Russian, do
you submit?
And he says, so they hold him up against the table, and the guy absolutely pummels him. It's fun.
Well, at least they only slap him once at a time.
But
take turns slapping each other.
Meanwhile, in Russia, the male slapping championships took place in Karnazovsk. The winner, Valesky Karmagatsky, took home 30,000 rubles, which is 350 francs. And I have absolutely no idea how much that is in American dollars. I'm sorry.
Probably out a couple $100.
Probably.
But does he get free beer or something like that?
He could.
Vodka there.
He could. Probably another bottle of vodka.
If you ever get a chance, go to Russia. It'll be unique.
No.
No.
I
ain't lost anything over there.
It's really, if you're a martial artist, it's a place to go.
Well, all right, boys and girls. Thank you, Mack. That was fun.
Yep.
This was fun.
Just tell Kyle Shermer I tried to get him a big check.
Yeah, I know you did.
Well,
I know you did.
I'll have to think of what I'm going to get y'all riled up on next time I come on.
Well, I'm sorry I got riled up.
That's all right.
That's all good.
Hey, that's what
it was intended.
That's what this show's all about.
I thought it would be Dan.
No. Have yourself a good